Hey everybody, my name is Spencer. I hope things are going good. Glad we made it to the end of the semester. For the final project, I will be discussing a relatively recent governmental issue that deals with the realm of human resources and will likely have lasting impacts on the field in the future. This analysis focuses on the past legislation passed by the Biden administration to strengthen labor standards within federal agencies. These ambitious efforts hope to improve the previously weak labor standards that afflict employees within the federal government, as their protection and support were considerably lacking. Addressing concern surrounding how human resources might be impacted is crucial, as this field could see changes across all sectors. Plans could be put into place by businesses and nonprofit groups to implement similar policies and procedures, if they are not up to those standards already, of course. As the federal government actually considers itself a model employer, in that private and nonprofit organizations tend to follow suit and align their standards to that of the federal government. These are great strides taken to advance and innovate how human resources operates, as this could mean greater responsibilities and capabilities put upon all practitioners. While this executive order is overwhelmingly positive, there are some potential drawbacks. For the future of this could lead to unreasonable expectations being placed on HR managers and employees, as they could be adopted excessively, or employers are simply not prepared to meet these new standards due to financial or employment issues. Both could be a possible factor in burnout and dissatisfaction within their positions if either were to arise, which is the adverse outcome of what the Biden administration was attempting originally to do so. This policy has both strengths and weaknesses, but all in all, it effectively promotes citizens' futures and ensures that employees' rights are being fairly provided and carefully protected by the human resource managers responsible for doing so. Looking specifically at the problems that were plaguing employees within these agencies of the federal government, it is clear that there was a necessary need for these changes to be put into action. The aptly named Good Jobs executive order signed by President Biden aimed to succeed in improving the following labor standard issues. Inconsistent wage levels. There was a scarce amount of uniformity in wage levels across different federal agencies and projects, leading to large disparities in pay for similar work. Then there is limited worker benefits. Many federal jobs did not offer comprehensive benefits like healthcare, retirement plans, or paid leave, affecting workers' financial security or well-being. Next, we have workplace safety concerns. While there were safety regulations in place, enforcement and compliance varied, resulting in inconsistent workplace safety standards. Another issue was inequitable hiring practices. There were instances of discrimination and equal treatment in hiring practices, which affected the diversity and inclusivity of the federal workplace. Finally, there is a lack of worker voice. Workers had limited opportunities to participate in decision-making processes and advocate for their rights and interests. The legislation was passed to assist federal employees and ensure that they were being fairly hired, as well as being sufficiently supported by their employer when in their role. Considering this fact, this policy will be more successful if more individuals are being equitably employed. Employees are the most valuable entity to this executive order, as they are the individuals that see the impact of it firsthand. Federal agencies, local and state governments, as well as data researchers, are stakeholders in that they monitor and take record of any results that have arose afterwards. This could warrant further legislation if it is seen that additional action must be taken to avoid a crisis or aid a marginalized group. The federal government is the initiator of this issue because it had occurred under their supervision, but they had also designed the solution, as they were the ones that signed the law into effect. Businesses and nonprofits have a stake in this as well, as they tend to follow successful trends. So if this executive order proves to be fruitful, then more organizations could do the same and make efforts to improve their current HR standards. Taxpayers are also a large stakeholder, as they essentially help fund the new legislation. The impact by this decision on them could mean they pay more through taxes and inflation at a later time, or could even be given new opportunities as higher quality jobs are being offered to those in the public that are qualified. Elaborating more on this aspect of the topic, each one of these groups is a factor in the success of this executive order, either influencing or being influenced by it. There are many involved in this issue and policy, as they may participate in its formation and application, or are being benefited by its results. The key stakeholders go as following: federal agencies, local and state governments, businesses, nonprofit organizations, labor unions, employees, employers, labor data analysts, and taxpayers. All of these stakeholders have different levels of involvement in the topic and can be subject to change as time moves forward and as agendas evolve. Workers and employees, these are the primary beneficiaries of the executive order, as it aims to provide them with higher wages, better benefits, and safer working conditions. Employers and businesses, companies that will need to comply with the new standards and may face increased operational costs. Labor unions, organizations that advocate for workers' rights and benefits and may see increased unionization and collective bargaining agreements. Federal agencies responsible for implementing and enforcing the new labor standards and ensuring compliance with the order. State and local governments that may need to align their policies with federal standards and manage federally funded projects. Advocacy groups and nonprofits, organizations that support workers' rights and may work to ensure the order's effective implementation. Researchers and academics, experts who study labor practices and may analyze the impacts of the order on the economy and workforce. Taxpayers, individuals who fund federal projects and may benefit from the improved quality of jobs and infrastructure. It is also important to point out that there have been several noticeable impacts from the Good Jobs Executive Order, such as increased livable wages. The order has prioritized federal project funding for jobs that pay family-sustaining wages, helping workers achieve financial stability. It has also enhanced worker benefits. It has promoted greater access to essential benefits such as childcare, healthcare, and transportation, improving overall worker well-being. It includes fair hiring practices. The order has ensured fair and equitable hiring practices, promoting diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Improved workplace safety. Emphasis on workplace safety has reduced the risk of injuries and created a safer work environment. Support for union jobs. The order has encouraged the use of collective bargaining agreements and project labor agreements, supporting union jobs and workers' rights. These measures have contributed to creating more opportunities for workers to not just get by, but to get ahead, fostering a more equitable and resilient economy. The impacts are already being felt in various sectors, with workers experiencing better job conditions and increased financial security. While the Good Jobs Executive Order has had many positive impacts, there have been some criticisms and potential negative consequences, such as increased costs for employers. Some businesses have raised concerns about the increased costs associated with providing higher wages, benefits, and adhering to stricter labor standards. This could lead to higher operational costs and potentially higher prices for consumers. Potential for reduced hiring. There's a concern that the increased cost of regulations could lead to some employers to reduce their workforce or slow down hiring to manage expenses. Administrative burden. Implementing and complying with these new standards and regulations can create an additional administrative burden for businesses, especially smaller companies that may not have the resources to easily adapt. Impact on small businesses. Small businesses in particular may struggle to meet the requirements of the executive order, potentially putting them at a competitive disadvantage compared to larger companies. There's also, finally, a potential for job losses. In some cases, businesses may choose to relocate operations to areas with less stringent labor standards or outsource jobs to reduce costs, which could lead to job losses in certain regions. It's important to consider these potential drawbacks while also recognizing the positive impacts the executive order aims to achieve. Balancing these factors is crucial for ensuring the policy's overall effectiveness and sustainability. These concerns will likely be addressed as more policy is signed into support fair and just labor standards. But for the time being, only time will tell how successful the Good Jobs Executive Order is. And at this time, however, it appears that this policy will make broad, drastic changes within human resource departments across all sectors, as more move toward empowering their employees and investing in their prosperity. This could be through providing smoother career advancement as employees have greater opportunities to getting their desired position, as well as making the workplace conditions more acceptable by improving safety measures, or even by offering employees better access to HR, being used in a larger capacity as an avenue for support and advice. Public sector human resources will likely see these changes occurring within it first and will operate as a guinea pig until it is apparent that more legislation is in order, as this is a constantly evolving subject that requires rigorous strategic planning. Fortunately, this current executive order is on its way to fulfilling its mission, as since its adoption, federal employee satisfaction is seemingly being raised, and the standards continue to improve the lives of those they were meant to serve. Thank you for listening to my project. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their semester. Appreciate it.